All right, folks, gather round and bring your popcorn because today we're wading through the muck and madness of Agincourt. Yeah, I know the reputation. Mud, longbows, and French knights getting a serious beatdown. But Agincourt was much deeper than that. It wasn't just a one-sided stomp. It was a case study in tactical decision-making, specifically what not to do. We're going to dissect the disasters, the strokes of genius, mostly on one side, let's be real, and the sheer, unbelievable carnage that defined this famous fight. But first, here is something to think about. Was this the nail in the coffin for knights? We'll find out later. So, set your mental scene. It's 1415. Europe is a hodgepodge of bickering kingdoms, and England is feeling particularly frisky. King Henry V, a young, power-hungry ruler with something to prove, decides, hey, I'm going to waltz into France and claim the throne, for reasons that are somewhat complicated and ultimately not that important for this video. Spoiler alert, he did not succeed, or did he? He gathers his army and sails across the English Channel like he is taking a Sunday stroll. The French, naturally, weren't thrilled about this uninvited guest. They amass their troops, confident in their numerical superiority and the fact that, they're defending their own homeland. But the French are a bit too sure of themselves, and Henry is a tad too bold. Is this the perfect storm for a military meltdown? Our man Henry and his troops were in for a grueling journey. Supply lines stretched to the breaking point. Morale was sinking faster than a lead weight, and dysentery was raging through the ranks. Things were looking pretty grim for England, but they are not quitters. They marched onward to a tiny place called Agincourt. But little did they know, a massively larger French army was converging to block their path. And boy, oh boy, did they block their path. Talk about a terrible day. This foreshadows the showdown. But what were the French thinking when it caved to their battle plans? Let's dig in. Okay, let's dissect the French. On paper, they had all the advantages. More soldiers, heavily armored knights, home field advantage. But here's where things went south at an alarming rate. It seems like they were having a secret competition to see who could make the most disastrous strategic blunders. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. Their battle plan was, well, let's just say, it wasn't the most innovative. First mistake, they packed their knights into a tight space, turning them into a congested mess of armored behemoths. Imagine trying to maneuver a monster truck through a crowded parking lot. That was essentially the French army that day. And the ground? It was a mud pit, churned up by days of relentless rain. These knights should have gone on a diet beforehand. And if that wasn't enough, they positioned their crossbowmen behind the knights. Seriously? You might as well have brought a marching band to the battle. The crossbows needed to be at the front to be any threat to the English. It is like they took a random formation generator and decided to stick with the outcome. They had all the right ingredients for a victory, but they somehow managed to make a total mess of it. So, the French were trapped in the mud. Their crossbows were essentially useless, and the English longbows were poised to unleash a storm of arrows. But how exactly did those longbows sway the whole battle? Let's get to it. The English longbow, a deceptively simple weapon, but utterly devastating in the right hands. These weren't your run-of-the-mill bows, they were 6-foot-long powerhouses that could launch arrows through the air with incredible force and astounding accuracy. English archers were trained from a young age to master these weapons, becoming lethal experts. Each archer packed many arrows. The English also trained themselves to be efficient. The English archers unleashed a relentless barrage of arrows into the densely packed French formations. Imagine being a knight stuck in the mud, unable to move, while arrows rained down on you like a swarm of angry hornets. A seriously bad situation, right? I honestly cannot think of a worse situation. The French soldiers were not given a chance. The longbows devastated the French cavalry, disrupting their formations and throwing the army into complete chaos. It was an archery slaughter of epic proportions. The Longbows were the single greatest factor in England's success at Agincourt. But the battle was more than just a demonstration of longbow might. It was also defined by the aftermath and the morally questionable decisions made on the field. What disturbing event sealed the deal for the French? Keep watching to find out. Even after the initial longbow assault, the battle wasn't completely settled. The English infantry, lightly armored and agile, charged into the disorganized French ranks. It was a bloody, chaotic brawl, with men fighting and dying in the mud. The English foot soldiers were under orders to kill, kill, kill. They left no man alive. Henry V, fearing a resurgence of the French, gave the order to kill many French prisoners. It was a callous, calculated move, dictated by military necessity. Historians still argue about the exact numbers, but the reality is that many French soldiers died that day, on the field and afterwards. This was an all-out slaughter. The Battle of Agincourt was a resounding victory for England, solidifying their claim to the French throne and launching Henry V into the realm of legend. But did this one victory make up for all the lives lost? I doubt it. So, Agincourt was a pivotal moment in the 100 Years' War. But how did this battle shape military strategies and medieval warfare as a whole? This is what is coming up. Agincourt wasn't a one-off fluke. It significantly impacted medieval warfare. It demonstrated the power of ranged weapons against heavily armored knights, questioning the old paradigm of cavalry dominance. The longbows would continue to be used for hundreds of years. The battle emphasized the need for flexible tactics and quick thinking. The French reliance on predictable strategies and unyielding formations led to their demise. It was a lesson for commanders to always adapt. Even today, we can see traces of Agincourt in modern military strategies. The idea of combined arms warfare, where units cooperate effectively, emerged from the hard lessons learned on that muddy battlefield. There are always new things to learn from studying historical situations. So there you have it. Agincourt, much more than just a muddy field. It was a cultural collision, a clash of minds, and a powerful illustration of what a prepared force can do with proper tactics. Veterans, what lessons from historical battles can we take to modern warfare? Discuss it down below. Make sure to subscribe. End of transmission.